Have you ever opened an AI writing tool and thought, okay, this looks powerful, but where do I actually start? Like, because that is exactly how most people feel the first time they open Writesonic. You hear words like AI writer, SEO optimizer, Chatsonic, AI search visibility, brand voice, article writer, content strategy, and suddenly it feels like you accidentally signed up for a marketing software degree. But the good news is, Writesonic becomes much easier once you stop looking at it as one giant platform and start thinking of it as a content workspace. In this video, I'm going to walk you through Writesonic from the beginner level, step by step, and I'm going to show you the best path to use it practically, even if you have never used it before. We're going to look at what Writesonic is, how the platform works, what the main tools are for, how to set up your account properly, how to use Chatsonic for ideas, how to create a writing style, how to generate an article, how to rewrite content, and how to turn one idea into different types of content without staring at a blank page like it owes you money. So once you land on the Writesonic homepage, you'll see the Writesonic logo in the top left. And across the top, navigation, you'll see options like platform, resources, and pricing. Then on the right side, you'll see login and a bright orange book, a demo button. Now, the main headline on this page says, "Get your brand into AI answers," and keep it there. So right away, you can tell Writesonic is positioning itself around AI search visibility, not just basic AI writing. It's focused on helping brands understand where they show up in AI answers, which prompts recommend competitors instead, and how to improve visibility with content citations and site optimization. So from here, you can either click book a demo if you're looking at this from a business or team perspective, or you can click start free trial in the main hero section if you want to test the platform yourself. And if you're following along with this video, I'll also leave my Writesonic link in the description. Depending on the current offer, that may include a discount, bonus, or free trial access. So I check that first before signing up normally, because if there's a way to get the same tool with a better deal, we might as well not pretend we enjoy paying full price for software. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what would make today better? Spending more than necessary. Before we create the account, let's quickly check the pricing page because this is one of those screens where beginners can accidentally overbuy. And I don't want you choosing a plan just because it has the biggest number, the boldest card, or because software pricing pages are designed to make your wallet nervous. So I'm going to click pricing at the top, and now we're on the plans and pricing page. Right away, you'll see the main headline in the center, and underneath it, Writesonic explains that it helps you find which prompts recommend your competitors, fix visibility gaps with AI agents, and prove the ROI. So again, this confirms that Writesonic is no longer positioning itself as just a basic AI writing tool. It's leaning heavily into AI search visibility, SEO, GEO, and helping brands understand how they show up inside AI answers. Now here's the first decision point. Under the heading, you'll see a toggle for brands and for agencies. So if you're using Writesonic for your own business, personal brand, or company, for brands probably makes more sense. But if you're managing content or visibility for clients, then for agencies may be more relevant. Right below that, you'll also see the monthly and annual billing toggle, and the annual option shows a saving. So keep that in mind if you already know you'll use the tool long term. All right, now let's break down the plans without making this feel like we're reading a software menu at a restaurant. As we scroll down, you'll see Starter, Basic, Growth, and Enterprise. Starter is the lower priced option for getting started. Basic gives you more SEO and GEO features. Growth is positioned for heavier AI visibility tracking and content workflows. And Enterprise is custom, usually for larger teams that need more scale, strategy, and advanced access. And as you scroll further, you'll see the features grouped into sections like AI search visibility, content and SEO, agentic workflows, and team. So instead of only comparing the price, pay attention to what you actually need. If you're just testing Writesonic, creating content, exploring SEO tools, or learning the platform, you probably don't need to jump straight into the highest plan. But if you're running a brand, agency, or team, and you care about tracking visibility across platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Google AI overviews, and other AI search environments, then the higher plans start making more sense. Quick beginner tip here: always check the pricing page live before buying because software pricing changes all the time. One month, the plan names look one way, the next month, they change the limits, bundle different features, or rename something, and suddenly your memory is basically outdated software documentation wearing a hoodie. So, the safe approach is simple: start with the plan that matches your current use case, then upgrade only when your workflow actually needs it. All right, now that we know what the plans look like, let's move from which plan should I choose to actually creating the account. I'm going to click Start Free Trial, and this takes us into the Writesonic signup page. On this screen, you'll see the Writesonic logo at the top, and in the center, there's a sign up box that says Sign up for free, no credit card required. And that's useful for beginners because it means you can create an account and explore the platform without immediately entering payment details. Now you have two main options here. You can continue with Google, which is usually the fastest method, or you can sign up manually using your full name and business email. So for the manual option, I'd type a simple demo name into the full name field, then enter the business email I want to use for this account, and then click sign up with email. Once you submit the form, Writesonic may ask you to verify your email. So if you see a verification screen, just go to your inbox, copy the code they send, paste it into the verification boxes, and click verify. And if the email takes a minute, don't panic. Sometimes the verification emails land in promotions or spam because apparently even useful emails enjoy playing hide and seek. All right, now we're inside the Writesonic dashboard. And this is where we want to slow down for a second because the dashboard can look like a lot at first, but it actually has a pretty clear structure once you understand what each section is doing. At the top, you'll see a greeting, something like good afternoon, followed by your name. And then on the far right, you'll see things like invite, a help icon, and your profile circle. The invite button is useful if you're working with a team because you can bring other people into the workspace later. But for this beginner walkthrough, we're going to focus on learning the tool ourselves first. On the left side, you'll see the main sidebar. And right at the top, there's a project area, which in this case says default project. This is important because Writesonic organizes your work inside projects. So if you're only using Writesonic for your own content, you can keep everything in the default project at first. But if you're working with multiple brands, clients, websites, or content channels, you'd eventually want separate projects so everything doesn't become one giant messy drawer of articles, prompts, SEO ideas, and half finished drafts. And trust me, once you start generating content quickly, organization becomes very important because AI tools can help you create fast, but they can also help you create chaos fast if you don't structure things properly. Under that, you'll see home, your content, and writing styles. Home is the main dashboard we're currently on. Your content is where you can go back and find content you've created or worked on. Writing styles is where you can create or manage the tone and voice you want Writesonic to use, which is really useful because it helps your content sound more consistent instead of sounding like a different person wrote every paragraph. Now, if you keep looking down the left sidebar, you'll see a section called SEO and content workflows. And this is where the platform starts to show you what it's really built for. You've got site audit, which is for checking a website for SEO issues. Then under new content, you'll see strategy, content creation, and other content, which is also labeled Chatsonic. Strategy is where you'd go if you want help planning what content to create. Content creation is where you'd go for articles and blog posts. And other content, or Chatsonic, is more of the flexible AI assistant area where you can ask questions, create social posts, brainstorm ideas, write emails, generate copy, and get help with different types of content. Then under existing content, you'll see optimize and repurpose. Optimize is for improving content you already have, especially if you're trying to make it perform better. Repurpose is for taking existing content and turning it into something else, like turning a blog post into social media posts. email copy, or maybe a video script outline. And near the bottom, you'll see AI search visibility, also called GEO, which is where Writesonic focuses on how your brand appears in AI search results. So this is more advanced, but it's important to know it exists because a lot of brands are now starting to care not just about ranking on Google, but also about showing up inside AI answers. And then at the very bottom, you'll see an upgrade button. That's where you can upgrade your plan if you hit limits or need access to more features. But again, for this beginner tutorial, we're not going to rush into upgrading just because there's a shiny button. We're going to understand the workflow first. All right, now let's look at the main dashboard area. Right in the center, you'll see a large section that says something like Get Instant SEO and Content Help from your AI agent. Under that, there's a prompt box where you can type what you need help with. In the example on screen, it might say something like Analyze my website's core web vitals, which shows you that this AI agent is not only for writing random paragraphs, it's designed to help with SEO, the content strategy and analysis. Below the prompt box, you'll notice it may show how many SEO and content AI agent messages you have left. And if you're on a limited or free setup, it may also show an upgrade option. Then underneath that, you'll see quick action buttons like Fix SEO, Create Content, Plan Strategy, and Analyze Competitors. These are basically shortcuts. So instead of typing everything manually, you can click one of those buttons depending on what you want to do. If your website has SEO issues, you'd use Fix SEO. If you want to create a blog post or article, you'd use Create Content. If you're trying to figure out what content to make next, you'd use Plan Strategy. And if you want to understand what competitors are doing, you'd use Analyze Competitors. For beginners, I'd recommend starting with Create Content or Plan Strategy, because those are the easiest to understand. Site audits and competitor analysis are useful, but if you don't already have a website or enough existing content, those areas may feel a little abstract at first. So we're going to start with the content creation path because it gives you the clearest beginner result. Now, as we scroll down the dashboard, you'll see the SEO and content workflows section. The first card is Site Audit, and that's described as a way to analyze your website for technical SEO issues. So, if you already have a website, this is where you'd eventually come to check what might be holding your site back from performing better in search. But if you don't have a website yet, don't worry about this immediately. It's useful, but it doesn't have to be step one. Then you'll see the create new content section, and this is where we'll spend a lot of our beginner time. You'll see strategy, which helps you create an AI powered content strategy based on competitor analysis. You'll see content creation, which is specifically for creating SEO optimized long form articles and blog posts with AI. And you'll see other content, which covers things like social posts, emails, ad copy, and more. So the way I'd think about it is this: strategy helps you decide what to make, content creation helps you make the long form piece, and other content helps you create supporting content around it. Below that, you'll see SEO tools. This includes keyword research, AI topic clustering, and answer the people. Keyword research helps you find keywords to target in your niche. AI topic clustering helps you plan groups of related topics, which is useful if you're building authority around a niche. Answer the people helps you find the kinds of questions your audience is actively asking. And this is very useful for beginner content because if you know what people are asking, you can create content that answers those questions directly instead of guessing. Then, as we keep scrolling, we reach the Optimize Existing Content section. Here you'll see Optimize, Content Gap Analysis, and Repurpose. Optimize helps improve content for better rankings. Content gap analysis helps identify missing topics or opportunities in your content strategy. Repurpose helps refresh and adapt your existing content for different uses. So if you already have a blog post, you could use Repurpose to turn it into social posts. If you already have an article that's not ranking well, you could use Optimize to improve it. And if you're trying to find what your site is missing compared to competitors, content gap analysis is where that comes in. On the right side of the dashboard, you'll also see a large panel for AI search visibility, or GEO. This section is about tracking and improving how your brand appears across AI search engines. It talks about tracking, benchmarking, and optimizing your brand's visibility. And you'll also see a start your free trial button inside that panel. Under that, you'll see a few points explaining what it can help with, like seeing how AI compares your brand to competitors, finding prompts and citations that surface your content in AI search results, and getting action steps to improve your brand presence in AI responses. Now, for a beginner, this might sound a little advanced, and honestly, it is more of a brand and SEO growth feature than a basic writing feature. But it's still worth understanding because AI search is becoming a bigger part of content marketing. Traditionally, people only cared about ranking on Google. Now, businesses are also starting to ask when someone asks ChatGPT or Gemini or another AI tool about my niche, does my brand show up? That's what this section is trying to help with. So we won't start here immediately, but later in the video, this is the kind of feature you'd explore if you're serious about SEO, brand visibility, and long term content growth. So now that we understand the dashboard, here's the beginner path I recommend. First, we're going to use the dashboard as our home base. Then we'll go into writing styles so we can set up a voice for our content. After that, we'll use strategy or Chatsonic to come up with a topic. Then we'll go into content creation to generate a long form article or blog post. After that, we'll use optimize or repurpose to improve that content or turn it into other formats. And this is the key thing I want you to understand before we move on. Writesonic is not just one tool. It's more like a content system. You can plan the idea, write the content, optimize it, repurpose it, and eventually track how your brand is showing up in AI search. So instead of thinking, I'm here to generate one blog post, think of it more like, I'm here to build a workflow where one idea can become a blog post, a social post, an email, a video script, and maybe even part of a bigger SEO strategy. That's when the platform starts making a lot more sense. Setting up your first Writesonic project. All right, now I'm going to show you how to set up your first project inside Writesonic. And the good thing here is that Writesonic doesn't just throw you into a blank dashboard and expect you to figure everything out alone. Instead, once you get into the platform and start the setup flow, it walks you through building your project step by step. On screen, the first setup page says, Welcome, let's optimize your website. And this is basically where Writesonic starts turning your account into a real working project. Over on the left, you'll see fields for your website URL, your scope, and your project name. For this example, I'm going to enter our channel website URL, or you could use a demo site like https://examplebrand.com if you're just practicing. Then for the project name, I'd use something simple like main website project or example brand project. The goal is to keep the name clean and easy to recognize later, especially if you eventually create multiple projects for different websites, clients, or brands. Right next to the website field, there's also a scope dropdown. And this is important because it controls how broad Writesonic should look at your site. You can choose from options like exact URL, path, domain, and subdomains. So if you only want to analyze one specific page, you'd use exact URL. If you want a section of the site, you'd use path. If you want the main domain only, you'd use domain. And if you want the full domain, including subdomains, you'd use subdomains. For most people setting up a normal website project, domain is a very solid place to start because it gives Writesonic enough context without overcomplicating things. Under that, you'll see a section asking, oh, what do you want to improve first? And here, Writesonic gives you two main directions. The first option is AI search tracking, or GEO, which focuses on tracking and improving where AI platforms mention your brand. The second option is SEO and content optimization, which is more focused on auditing your site, auto-fixing issues, optimizing pages, and creating content. For this walkthrough, we're going down the AI search tracking path because that's the flow shown here, and it's one of the more unique things Writesonic is pushing right now. So once I've got the website URL in place, the scope set to domain, and the project name entered clearly, I can hit continue and move forward. Now, the next screen asks us to select a plan, And this part is a little more specific than the general pricing page because it's showing the AI search visibility trial plans directly inside the onboarding flow. On screen, you can see three options: starter, basic, and growth. And all three show a free 7-day trial before switching to the paid annual billing amount. In this example, starter shows free for 7 days and then $79 per month billed annually. Basic shows free for 7 days and then $199 per month billed annually. And growth shows free for 7 days and then $399 per month billed annually. You'll also notice the pay annually 20% off toggle at the top right. Now, for this walkthrough, I'm going to select the growth option so we can continue into the AI search visibility setup and see the GEO reporting features in action. You don't have to choose the same plan I'm choosing here. Just pick the plan that matches what you actually need. If you're only testing Writesonic, start with the option that gives you enough access to explore without overcommitting. You'll also see feature highlights under each plan, like prompt limits, visibility metrics, competitor analysis, sentiment analysis, and realistic prompts based on real searches. So instead of only looking at the price, pay attention to what each plan actually unlocks. And quick reminder here, check the current pricing through the link in the description before signing up, because pricing pages, trials, and offers can change over time. Depending on when you're watching, there may be a discount, bonus, or special offer available. So it's worth checking first before paying full price, like it's some kind of noble sacrifice. Once we continue from there, Writesonic asks, how would you like to begin? And here you'll see two setup paths: beginner friendly and advanced setup. The beginner friendly option is the quicker route. Writesonic can automatically pick topics and competitors for you. Then you review the prompts, generate your AI visibility report, and customize things later. So if you're completely new and just want to get into the report faster, this is the easiest option. The advanced setup option gives you more control from the start. This lets you choose your topics, competitors, and target market first, so the final prompts and report are more specific to your brand. For this walkthrough, I'm going to use the guided setup where we can review and customize the details before generating the report. That way, the AI visibility data is not just generic, it's built around the niche, audience, and competitors we choose, which makes the final report much more useful. After that, Writesonic shows a short loading screen while it prepares the next step. This is basically the platform taking the setup choices we've made so far and getting the project ready for review. Once that finishes, we land on a screen that says, review your topics, marketing competitors. And this is where the project starts to feel more specific. Instead of generating a broad report immediately, Writesonic gives us a chance to fine tune what it should actually track. Now, in some setups, Writesonic may automatically suggest target topics for you. But in my case, the topic section is empty, so I'll need to add them manually. Right under your target topics, you'll see a button that says plus topic, and this is where you can add the main topics you want your brand or website to be associated with. So, for example, if this project is for a tutorial or software review website, I might add topics like AI writing tools, SEO software, content marketing tools, AI productivity tools, or software tutorials. The goal is to choose topics that match what your website actually talks about, because these topics help Writesonic understand the areas where it should check your AI visibility. Then underneath that, you'll see the market section. This is where you choose the target audience country and language. In this example, the country is set to United States and the language is set to English, which means the report will focus on that market and language context. Below that, you'll see the competitors section, and this is where Writesonic suggests competitor websites for comparison. In my case, it's showing competitors like Crop, H&M, Mojito, and Reserved with their checkboxes already selected. Now, if these competitors don't match your niche, don't just leave them there automatically. You can uncheck anything that feels irrelevant and use the add button to include competitors that are actually closer to your website or brand. And this step matters because AI visibility reporting is only useful when Writesonic understands the topics you care about, the market you're targeting, and the competitors you want to compare against. If the topics or competitors are wrong, the report can end up feeling random. But when you tune this properly, the final insights become much more useful. So once the topics, market, and competitors look good, I'm going to click Get AI Visibility Report. And after you press that button, Writesonic takes you into a loading screen while it starts preparing the GEO report. Now, on this screen, you'll see a message that says something like fetching your AI search insights. And underneath it explains that Writesonic is analyzing your brand's AI search presence. It also says this may take up to a few minutes, so if it doesn't load instantly, don't panic. This is one of those moments where the platform is doing the heavier work in the background. Once the report finishes loading, we land inside the actual GEO workspace. On the left side, you'll see the project area. And in this example, it's showing a general project name like main website project. Above or near that, you may also see the growth trial label. Across the top, there's a trial banner showing how many days are remaining in the GEO trial. And you'll also see a prompt counter on the right, like 22 out of 200 prompts, along with the next run timer. Now, this is important because GEO tracking is based on prompts. Writesonic is checking how your brand appears across AI generated answers, so the prompt allowance tells you how much tracking or analysis capacity you have inside the current plan or trial. On the left sidebar, you'll see the main brand visibility sections: overviews, sentiment, citations, prompts, and AI bot analytics. Then under Improve AI Visibility, there's Action Center, and under Research, there's Prompt Explorer. So this is no longer just a normal writing dashboard. This is a visibility tracking workspace where you can check how your brand is showing up, where competitors appear, what citations are being used, and what opportunities Writesonic finds. Now, in the main overview area, you'll see filters across the top for things like date, market, topic, prompt type, platform, and answers. These filters help you narrow down what you're analyzing. So if you only want to look at a specific topic, platform, or date range, this is where you do that. The first section gives you high level performance metrics. You'll see things like AI visibility, share of voice, citation share, pages mentioning you, and sentiment. In this example, some of the numbers are still showing zero because the report is still being analyzed, or there may not be enough answer data yet. And that's normal during setup. The platform may need time to finish processing prompts before the dashboard becomes more useful. As we scroll, you'll see different views like general, platforms, and competitors. Under platforms, Writesonic breaks things down by AI platform. So you can compare visibility across places like Perplexity, Gemini, Google AI Overviews, and ChatGPT. This is helpful because your brand might show up on one AI platform, but not another. And that tells you where your visibility is stronger or weaker. Then, under the competitors view, you can compare your brand against the competitors selected during setup, and you'll see sections like AI visibility leaders, citation share leaders, competitor analysis, and competitor visibility across topics. This is useful because GEO is not only about asking, do we show up? It's also asking who shows up instead of us and on what topics. And that's the big idea behind this whole section. Writesonic is helping you understand where your brand stands inside AI search results, not just traditional Google search. So instead of guessing whether AI platforms mention your brand, cite your content, or recommend competitors, this dashboard gives you a place to track it. Now, because we're still at the beginner stage, you don't need to analyze every chart deeply right now. The main thing to understand is the layout. Overview gives you the big picture. Sentiment helps you understand whether AI responses are positive, neutral, or negative. Citations show where AI answers are pulling information from. Prompts show the questions being tested. AI bot analytics gives more tracking detail. Action Center gives you improvement opportunities. And Prompt Explorer helps you research the types of prompts people might use around your niche. So the big picture here is that creating your first project in Writesonic is less about making a blank folder and more about going through a guided setup flow. You enter your website, choose the scope, name the project, select what you want to improve, choose a plan or trial, decide how you want to begin, review the topics and competitors, and then Writesonic turns that into a working GEO dashboard. And once that's active, we can move into the part most beginners are probably here for, which is actually using Writesonic to create content. So now that the project setup and visibility dashboard makes sense, let's move into the feature most beginners will probably use the most day to day, which is Chatsonic. You'll notice there's already a chat style AI agent box on the main dashboard, and that's useful when you want quick SEO or content help without leaving the home screen. So if you need a fast idea, a quick strategy suggestion, or help with a website task, the dashboard agent is a convenient place to start. But for this walkthrough, I want to go into the dedicated Chatsonic workspace because that's where you get a more focused space for brainstorming, writing, refining, and continuing conversations over time. So on the left sidebar, I'm going to go under New Content and click Other Content, which is labeled as Chatsonic. And the easiest way to think about it is this: the dashboard AI agent is like a quick command center, while Chatsonic is more like the full conversation workspace. Now, when Chatsonic opens, the first thing I want you to understand is that this is not just a blank AI chat box sitting by itself. It's connected to the current project we created earlier, so the work you do here can stay organized inside that project. On the left side, you'll usually see options like Back to Home, New Chat, All Canvases, Integrations, and a Recents area. That recent section is useful because once you start creating chats, you can come back later and continue where you left off. So if you brainstorm blog ideas today, then tomorrow you want to turn one of those ideas into an outline, you don't have to start from zero again. In the main area, Chatsonic positions itself as an AI partner for marketing and SEO. Under that, you may see starter use cases like find keyword opportunities, rank for a specific keyword, quick win opportunities, and strategic content ideas. These are basically shortcut prompts for common SEO and marketing tasks, and they're helpful because they show you what Chatsonic is really designed for. This is not only for random writing prompts, you can use it for content strategy, keyword research, SEO planning, competitor ideas, and practical marketing questions. But for this walkthrough, I'm going to type our own prompt manually because I want you to understand how to guide the AI properly, not just click a shortcut and hope it knows exactly what you mean. Before we type, here's the key beginner lesson. Don't give AI tiny vague prompts and expect amazing results. If you type something like, give me blog ideas, you'll probably get something generic. So instead, we're going to give Chatsonic context. We'll tell it what kind of site we're working on, who the audience is, what topics we care about, and what kind of output we want. So for this demo, I'm going to type something like, I run a beginner-friendly tech tutorial website. Give me 10 blog post ideas for people who want to learn how to use AI writing tools, automation tools, and online business software. Keep the ideas practical, beginner-friendly, and SEO focused. That prompt works because it gives Writesonic direction. We're not just asking for random ideas. We're telling it the audience, the niche, the content style, and the goal. And that usually gives you a much better starting point. Before I send it, let's quickly look at the controls around the prompt box because these are easy to ignore, but they can make a big difference. You may see an attachment option, which is useful if you want to bring in a file, brief, or extra material. There's also a prompt template option, and if you open it, you'll find categories like SEO, analytics, competitor analysis, content strategy, and content creation. Inside those categories, you'll usually see ready-made workflows like competitor SEO analysis, website SEO analysis, rank for a keyword, find keyword opportunities, and quick win opportunities. So if you ever don't know what to ask, templates are a good place to start because they give you structured prompts instead of forcing you to invent everything from scratch. You may also see a writing style option. For beginners, leaving it on default is completely fine because that usually gives you a balanced professional tone. But later, if you want your content to sound more like your brand, you can create or edit a custom writing style. This can be based on URLs, files like PDFs or documents, or even a text snippet. So if you have a brand voice document, a blog post you like, or a sample script style, you can use that to help Writesonic understand the tone you want. Then there's the agent selection area, which may show something like auto. Auto means Writesonic will choose the best type of agent based on your request. You may also see options like SEO agent, content agent, or LinkedIn agent, depending on your setup. For this prompt, auto is fine because we're asking for blog ideas with SEO context, and we want Writesonic to choose the right route. You may also notice an AI agent toggle near the send button. When that's turned on, Chatsonic may behave more like a research assistant instead of giving a quick, plain answer. So instead of instantly dropping a random list, it may research, reason, or break the task into steps. That can be useful when you want strategy, SEO context, or a more thoughtful answer. And before I hit send, there may also be an improve prompt button. This is helpful if your prompt is too short or messy. For example, if you typed, give me AI blog ideas, improve prompt could help turn that into something more detailed. In our case, the prompt is already clear, so I'm going to leave it as it is and click the send arrow. Once we send the prompt, Chatsonic starts working. Depending on your account, your plan, and whether the AI agent option is active, it may show that it's selecting the appropriate agent or building the response through a research style process. In this example, because we're asking for SEO focused ideas, it may break the task into steps like researching keyword opportunities around AI writing tools, automation tools, and online business software, then using that to shape the final ideas. And if you see a progress card, a research section, or a message that looks like it's crunching insights, don't panic. That's normal. It just means the tool's trying to build the answer from more than imagination. This is not the part where we start clicking the button 7 times, like that's going to encourage it emotionally. Now, the results are finished, and this is where you can see why Chatsonic is a little different from a basic chatbot. Instead of just giving us a quick random list of blog ideas, it has built a more structured output. On the left side, you can see the steps it worked through, like analyzing discussions, researching SEO keywords for AI writing tools, automation tools, and online business software, and then synthesizing everything into the final blog ideas. So, the useful thing here is that the output is not just coming from a vague prompt, it's being shaped around research, search intent, and the kind of audience we're trying to reach. All right, now I'm going to show you how to read these Chatsonic results without getting overwhelmed, because this page can look like a lot at first. On the right side, we have the final output, and this is where I'd spend most of my time. At the top, Writesonic gives us a content opportunity overview, and then it starts breaking the ideas into categories like AI writing tools content, automation tools content, and online business software content. That grouping is useful because it turns one prompt into the beginning of a content strategy, not just a random list of ideas. As we scroll through the output, you'll notice that each idea comes with more than just a title. It explains why the idea works, what SEO opportunity it connects to, and what sections could be included inside the article. That's what makes this useful for beginners because you're not staring at a title wondering what to do next. You already have the angle, the structure, and the reason behind the topic. Now, one thing I really like here is that the output also gives us an implementation priority section near the bottom. So instead of leaving us with 10 ideas and making us guess which one to start with, it recommends which topics have the strongest traffic potential, which ones can build momentum, and which ones are better for rounding out the content strategy. And this is exactly how I'd use it as a beginner. I wouldn't try to publish all 10 ideas at once. I'd pick one strong topic from the highest priority section, then ask Chatsonic to expand it. So, for example, I could follow up with something like turn the cloud accounting software guide into a full beginner friendly blog outline with an SEO title, meta description, intro, H2 headings, and conclusion. Or I could say, turn this into a YouTube tutorial script, or even, create a 30-day content plan using these ideas. That's where the tool becomes really useful because the first output gives you the strategy, and then your follow up prompts help turn that strategy into real content. And that's really the workflow. You use the first prompt to generate the strategy, then you use follow up prompts to turn the best ideas into outlines, articles, scripts, social posts, or a full content calendar. So don't treat the first answer as the final destination. Treat it like the starting point that gives you direction. Before we leave this page, one small thing worth noticing is the Output and Findings tabs. Output is the clean, final version you'll probably use most of the time. Findings is more useful when you want to understand the research behind the answer. So, as a beginner, I'd focus on output first, then check findings only when you want extra context or you want to verify where the ideas are coming from. And once you have something you like, you can save or share it from the options at the bottom. The chat also stays inside your workspace, so you can return to it later instead of starting from scratch. That's the big advantage here. Chatsonic works best when you use it like a content workspace, not just a one time answer generator. You'll also notice that after the response is created, the chat gets saved in your recents area on the left. So now we have a conversation we can return to later. At the bottom, you may also see the message counter update. For example, going from 3 SEO and content AI agent messages left to 2, which tells us that using the agent consumes part of the available message allowance. So if you're on a trial or limited plan, keep that in mind. Use the quicker chat experience for simple brainstorming and save the deeper AI agent requests for tasks where you actually want research, SEO context, or a more advanced strategy. So that's the beginner friendly way to use Chatsonic. Start with a clear prompt. Make sure it understands the website, audience, niche, and goal. Use the agent dropdown when you need a specific type of help. Use prompt templates when you don't know what to ask. Use writing styles when you want the output to match a certain tone. And then treat the first response as a starting point, not the final destination. The goal is not just to get one answer and move on. The goal is to use Chatsonic like a content partner that helps you brainstorm, research, organize, and shape ideas into something you can actually publish. All right, now I'm going to show you how to create a writing style because this is where your content starts sounding more like a consistent brand and less like generic AI output. Inside Writesonic, you can get to this from the left sidebar by clicking Writing Styles. And on this screen, Writesonic explains the purpose pretty clearly. A writing style helps the tool understand the tone, structure, and personality you want it to use when creating content. So instead of rewriting your tone instructions every single time, you can save that style once and reuse it across your project. If you haven't created one yet, you'll usually see a message in the middle saying there are no writing styles yet, along with a Create a Style button. So we're going to click that. Once the Create a Writing Style window opens, you'll see a few different ways to train the style. The first option is Add URLs, which lets you give Writesonic a web page so it can analyze the writing style from that page. This is useful if you already have a website, blog post, landing page, or article that sounds close to the tone you want. The second option is Add Files, where you can upload documents like PDFs, DOC files, or DOCX files. This is helpful if you have a brand guide, sample article, content brief, script, or any written material that already reflects the style you want. Then the third option is Add Text Snippet. And this is probably the easiest option for beginners because you can simply paste a few paragraphs directly into the box. You don't need a finished website and you don't need a polished brand document. You just need enough sample text for Writesonic to understand the kind of voice you're aiming for. For this demo, I'm going to use Add Text Snippet because it's the fastest way to teach Writesonic the style we want. So I'll click the plus icon next to Add Text Snippet. And now we get a text box where we can paste a sample. And this part is important. Don't paste one tiny sentence and expect the tool to understand your entire brand personality. Give it a proper sample so it has something useful to analyze. For this example, I'll paste something like this. Our website is a beginner-friendly tutorial brand that helps people understand software, AI tools, automation platforms, and online business apps without feeling overwhelmed. The tone should be friendly, clear, and practical, with step-by-step explanations that feel like someone is guiding the reader or viewer through the process in real time. The writing should avoid heavy jargon, avoid sounding too corporate, and focus on helping the audience understand not just what to do, but why each step matters. The style should feel conversational and useful, with light humor where it fits naturally. But the main goal is clarity, confidence, and practical value. And the reason this works is because we're not just saying make it friendly, we're giving Writesonic context about the type of website, the audience, the content format, the tone, and the viewer experience we want. That gives it a much stronger direction than a vague instruction like write in a nice tone. Once that snippet is added, you'll see it appear on the right side under your examples, and then you can click continue. From there, Writesonic starts analyzing the sample and turning it into a reusable writing style. You may see a loading screen while it detects patterns in the voice, tone, and structure. After that, you'll land on an edit style screen where Writesonic gives you a style summary. In this example, the summary might say the voice is conversational, friendly, practical, and beginner focused with clear step by step guidance and light engagement. That's exactly what we want for a tutorial style website because we're not trying to sound like a textbook and we're also not trying to sound like a hype machine yelling game changer every 3 seconds. On the right side, you can name the style. Writesonic may automatically generate a default name, but I'd rename it to something clear, like beginner tutorial voice, software guide style, or practical tutorial brand voice. Keep it simple and descriptive because later on, if you create multiple styles, you want to instantly know which one you're selecting. Under that, there may also be a box where you can share more context for more personalized answers. This is where you can add extra notes like the audience is beginners who want simple, practical tutorials without technical confusion, or the content should be clear, useful, and easy to follow with no unnecessary fluff. That kind of context helps Writesonic stay closer to the type of output you actually want. You'll also see a set voice as default option. If you turn that on, Writesonic can use this writing style as the default voice across the platform, which is helpful if you want your articles, Chatsonic responses, outlines, and marketing content to feel more consistent. Now, this connects back to what we saw inside Chatsonic earlier. In the Chatsonic prompt area, there's a writing style dropdown where you can quickly choose a style for that specific chat or output. But this writing styles page is the main control center. This is where you create the style properly, edit it, set it as default, retrain older styles, delete styles, and manage the voice library for the whole project. So the chat dropdown is for using a style while you're working, and the writing styles page is for building and managing the style itself. Once everything looks good, click Save Changes, and now the writing style gets added to your writing styles page. You'll see it listed there with the name, and if you set it as default, it should show a default label next to it. You'll also see edit and delete options on the right, so if the style ever feels too stiff, too casual, too vague, or not close enough to the brand voice you want, you can come back and adjust it instead of starting from scratch. And this is a really good habit to build because once you start creating a lot of content, consistency becomes one of the biggest differences between random AI output and an actual brand. A writing style gives Writesonic a reusable voice layer. So whether you're generating blog posts, outlines, rewrites, Chatsonic responses, or marketing copy, you're not constantly re-explaining your tone every single time. All right, now I'm going to show you how to use keyword research inside Writesonic. Because if you're creating blog content, you don't want to guess your topics and just hope people are searching for them. From the home dashboard, you can scroll down to the SEO tools section and you'll see keyword research with the description that it helps you find high ranking keywords to target for your niche. So we'll click into that. Once the keyword research page opens, you'll see the heading Identify the best ranking keywords, a topic field that says Enter your topic, a location selector under Results for, and then the Identify Keywords button on the right. For this demo, we're going to keep the country set to United States because that's the market we're targeting for this example. And inside the topic field, we're going to type AI writing tools. And this is important because your country selection can change the data you see. A keyword might have strong demand in the United States, but different demand in the UK, Canada, Australia, or another market. So always choose the region that matches the audience you're actually creating content for. Once we type AI writing tools, we'll click Identify Keywords, And then Writesonic will generate a keyword research report for that topic. Once the report loads, Writesonic brings us to a full keyword overview page for AI writing tools. At the top, you can see it found 2,154 keyword ideas. So right away, this tells us the topic has a lot of related search opportunities. Then we get the main summary cards. Search volume is showing 60,500. Difficulty is showing 26 with a medium label. Cost per click is showing $1.31 with a medium label. And search intent is marked as commercial. Now, in normal human language, search volume tells us there's strong demand around this topic. Difficulty tells us there is some competition, but it still looks achievable with effort. CPC gives us a clue that advertisers are spending money in this space, and commercial intent means people searching this are probably comparing tools, looking for recommendations, or trying to decide which AI writing platform is worth using. So, this could work really well for reviews, comparisons, tutorials, beginner guides, or affiliate style content. Now, underneath the overview, you'll see the keyword tabs. All. Same terms, related, also rank for, and long tail keywords. The All tab is selected right now, and it shows 1,304 available keywords across categories. Same terms keeps the ideas closer to the original phrase. Related gives you broader connected ideas. Also, rank for shows keywords that ranking pages may also appear for. And long tail keywords is usually a great place for beginners because those keywords are often more specific. And this is where I'd slow down a little because the biggest keyword's not always the smartest keyword. AI writing tools has a lot of volume, but it's also broad. The person searching could want a list, a comparison, a free tool, a paid tool, a tutorial, or just a basic explanation. So instead of only chasing the biggest number, we want to look for keywords that match the exact kind of content we want to create. As we move into the keyword table, you'll see columns for keywords, volume, competition, trend, and actions. The first keyword is AI writing tools with 60.5 thousand volume. Then we can see related options like best AI writing tools, AI tools for writing, free AI writing tools, writing AI tools, and best AI tools for writing. On the right side, each row has a write button, which is useful because once you find a keyword you like, you can use that as the starting point for creating content. So if I'm building a beginner friendly content site, best AI writing tools could become a comparison article. Free AI writing tools could become a budget friendly guide. AI tools for writing could become a broader educational article. And if I wanted something even more beginner focused, I'd probably look for phrases like AI writing tools for beginners, how to use AI writing tools, or best AI writing tools for beginners, because those searches tell me the person probably wants guidance, not just a random list. Now, if we scroll lower, Writesonic also shows a SERP overview for AI writing tools. And this is basically a preview of what's already ranking on Google's first page. You can see Google style results from sites like Medium, Email Vendor Selection, Quillbot, Ahrefs, Everything Technical Writing, Reddit, Scribber, Deep AI, and Grammarly. This is useful because SEO is not just about finding a keyword with volume, it's also about understanding what type of content Google is already showing. If the results are mostly list posts, then a list style article may match the intent. If the results are mostly free tools, then a free tool angle may work better. If the results include reviews, comparisons, and tool pages, that tells us people are likely looking for options before choosing what to use. So for this demo, I wouldn't just create a generic article called AI Writing Tools. I'd turn the research into a more focused content idea, like best AI writing tools for beginners, how to use AI writing tools as a beginner, or free AI writing tools. Explained which ones are actually useful. And that's the real value of keyword research inside Writesonic. It helps you move from guessing to making a more informed content decision. You can see demand, competition, intent, related keywords, trends, and the current search results. Then use all of that to create content that has a better chance of matching what people are already searching for. All right, now we're going to move from brainstorming and keyword research into actually creating a full article inside Writesonic. This is where the platform starts to feel more like a guided content workflow instead of just a regular chatbot. Because instead of typing one prompt and hoping the AI gives you something usable, Writesonic walks you through the article step by step. So from the left hand menu, I'm going to go into content creation and then open the AI article writer. On this screen, you'll see the article writer 6 workflow, and it starts by asking us to choose the writing mode that best fits what we need. There are usually two main options here: the 10 steps article option and the instant article option. The 10 steps article is the one I'd use if you want more control because it lets you choose the article type, references, keywords, title, secondary keywords, structure, writing style, and extra enhancements before the article is created. The instant article option is faster, and it can be useful if you just want a quick draft. But for this tutorial, I want to show the more complete workflow, because that gives us a better chance of creating something that is actually useful, organized, and SEO focused, instead of just a random AI article with a nice title slapped on top. So I'm going to choose the 10 steps article option and click to start. Now we're inside the guided article builder, and you can see the steps listed on the left side, starting with enter a topic, then select article type, select references, select primary keyword, select a title, select secondary keywords, configurations, select headings, additional enhancements, and finally, generate article. I actually like this layout because it shows you where you are in the process and what still needs to be done. So you're not just guessing what comes next. The first thing it asks for is the topic. And for this example, I'm going to use how to use AI writing tools to create better blog posts. Under that, we have the target audience location. So I'm going to keep it set to United States for this example. And then the article language is set to English. This part is simple, but it matters more than beginners think because the topic gives the article its direction, the location helps guide SEO research and search intent, and the language tells Writesonic what market and audience style we're writing for. Now I'll click Continue, and the next screen asks us to choose the article type and research method. At the top, you can see different article types like news articles, blog posts, how to guides, listicles, comparison blogs, technical articles, product reviews, and glossary pages. Since our topic is teaching someone how to use AI writing tools, I'm going to choose how to guides because that matches the viewer or reader's intent. They're not just looking for a definition and they're not just looking for a list of tools. They want a step by step explanation. And this is one of those small decisions that affects the whole article because if you choose the wrong article type, the structure can feel slightly off. For example, a comparison blog might focus too much on tool versus tool, while a how to guide will naturally focus on process, instructions, examples, and practical steps. Below that, Writesonic asks for the research method. In this case, I'm going to use AI web research, which is marked as recommended. This option is useful because it can analyze relevant articles, include competitor analysis, pull in more up to date information, and help create a stronger article structure based on what is already working in search. There's also a custom sources option, and that's useful if you already have your own PDFs, documents, links, or existing content you want Writesonic to use. So the difference is simple. AI web research is better when you want Writesonic to research the topic broadly, while custom sources is better when you want it to base the article on your own material. For this beginner guide, AI web research makes the most sense, so I'll keep that selected and continue. Now, Writesonic brings us to the reference selection step, and this is where it shows top performing competitor articles. You can also add your own URL if there's a specific article you want it to analyze, but if you don't have one, you can use the suggested results. On my screen, I can see top ranking articles related to AI writing and blogging, and some of them are marked as AI recommended. The important thing here is not to select everything just because it's available. I'd choose a few strong references that seem closely related to the kind of article we want to create. For example, I might select articles that focus on using AI for blogging, writing better blog posts, or understanding whether AI writing is actually helpful. I'm not choosing these, so Writesonic can copy them, and I'm choosing them so it can understand the structure and search intent and common angles in the space. Once I select a few, the counter updates, and then I can continue. And while it loads, this is a good moment to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Writesonic is basically gathering context so the article is not created in a vacuum. It's looking at what already ranks, what topics are commonly covered, and what gaps it can potentially address. After that, it moves into the primary keyword step. This is where we choose the keyword that anchors the article. You can add your own keyword manually. And for this example, I'm going to add how to use AI writing tools. Once that's added, it appears in the recommended keyword list, and I can select it as the primary keyword. You may also see other keyword suggestions like AI blog writing, or similar terms, along with volume, difficulty, and intent. Now, I don't want you to obsess over every number on this screen, especially if you're a beginner. The simple way to think about it is this: volume tells you roughly how much interest there is, difficulty gives you an idea of how competitive it might be, and intent tells you what kind of searcher is behind the keyword. For a tutorial article, informational keywords are usually useful because the person is trying to learn something. Transactional keywords can also be useful if the article naturally recommends tools or helps people choose a solution, but we don't want the whole article to feel like a sales page. So I'll select a keyword that matches the actual article, not just the biggest number on the screen. Next, Writesonic takes us to the title selection step, and this is where we choose the main headline for the article. On this screen, you can see the step is called Choose an Engaging Title, and Writesonic is giving us several suggested titles based on the topic and primary keyword we selected earlier. The first option is marked as AI recommended, and it says How to Use AI Blog, Writing Tools to Create Better Content, a step-by-step guide. That works well for this demo because it includes the main idea, it's clear for beginners, and it tells the reader exactly what they're going to get. You'll also see other title options underneath, like making AI blog writing easier, mastering AI blog writing, or using AI blog writing tools the right way. On the right side, there are options to generate more titles or show SERP rankings. And if none of the suggestions fit what you want, you can also type your own title in the Add Your Own field. But for this walkthrough, I'd keep it simple. A good beginner title should be clear before it tries to be clever, because if someone doesn't instantly understand what the article is about, they probably won't click. So I'm going to select the AI recommended step-by-step title and then click continue. Now we get to the secondary keyword step, and this is where Writesonic lets us add supporting keywords around the main topic. These are not meant to replace the primary keyword. They're just there to give the article more SEO context and help Writesonic understand the related terms it should naturally work into the content. On this screen, you can see an add your own field at the top if you want to manually type in a keyword. And underneath that, Writesonic shows recommended keywords with their search volume and difficulty. So we're seeing options like AI blog writer, AI blog writing tools, best AI for blog writing, and a few other related terms. For this demo, I'd keep it simple and choose a few that directly support the article, like AI blog writing tools, best AI for blog writing, or AI blog post writing. I wouldn't select every keyword just because it's available, because that's how the article starts drifting all over the place. The goal is to give Writesonic a focused SEO direction, not overload it with every possible variation. You'll also see the pick for me option at the bottom, which can be useful if you want Writesonic to choose the secondary keywords automatically. But for a beginner walkthrough, I like selecting them manually so you understand why each keyword is being added. Once I've selected the most relevant ones, I'll click continue. Now, this next screen is basically where we tell Writesonic what kind of article we actually want. Because up until now, we've given it the topic, the article type, the references, the main keyword, the title, and the secondary keywords. But here we're shaping the final feel of the article. At the top, Writesonic asks us to choose the structure and length. So you can go shorter with something like 4 to 5 headings, or you can make it more detailed with 8 to 9 or even 9 to 10 headings. For this example, I'd probably go with the 8 to 9 headings option, especially since it's marked as AI recommended. And that makes sense because a beginner guide usually needs a bit more room. You don't just want the article to say, use an AI writing tool, type a prompt, done. That's not helpful. We want enough sections to explain the process properly. Then underneath, we've got the writing style option. So if you created a writing style earlier, this is where you'd apply it. That way, the article doesn't come out sounding like a random corporate manual from 2008. It can actually follow the tone you want, like whether that's friendly, practical, professional, beginner focused, or whatever style fits your brand. On the right, you'll also see the point of view setting. In this case, it's set to first person, which means the article can use words like I, we, or our. For tutorials, I actually like that because it feels more guided, almost like you're walking the reader through the process instead of just throwing instructions at them. And then down here, we have expert guidance, which is honestly one of the most useful parts of this whole screen. This is where I can give Writesonic a few extra instructions before it writes the article. So for this example, I might type something like, make sure each section starts with a short explanatory paragraph. And if I wanted to go further, I could also tell it to use practical beginner examples, avoid generic AI hype, and keep the tone simple and step by step. A little bit of guidance can make a big difference because instead of getting a generic article, you're giving Writesonic a clear direction for how the final piece should feel. Once everything looks good, I'll click continue and move on to the next step. All right, now we're choosing the outline, and this is where the article starts getting its actual structure. Writesonic gives us a few options across the top, like outline 1 and outline 2, and you can click between them to see which version flows better. In this example, outline 1 starts with the introduction, then moves into what AI blog writing tools are, why people use them, and then into choosing the best tool. Outline 2 takes a slightly different angle, starting with understanding AI blog writing tools, then setting up your workflow, choosing your primary tool, and preparing your brand guidelines. So I'm not just picking the one that looks longest, I'm looking for the one that would make the most sense to a beginner reading this for the first time. A good article should start simple, explain the basics, then move into the actual process step by step. If the outline jumps too quickly into advanced details, the reader can get lost. But if it starts with context and builds naturally, the final article will usually feel much easier to follow. You'll also see a write your own option, and that's useful if you already have a specific structure in mind. In this case, it opens a blank outline where you can add your own H2 and H3 headings manually. So if you don't like the generated options, you're not stuck. You can build the article structure yourself, then let Writesonic write around that structure. There's also a split view option at the bottom, which is useful if you want to compare outlines side by side. For this walkthrough, I'd choose the outline that feels the clearest and most beginner friendly, then click continue. After that, we move into additional enhancements. This is where you can add extra options like FAQs, key takeaways, a cover image, internal links, expert quotes, a call to action, or a more humanized version of the article. I wouldn't turn everything on just because it's there. I'd only choose the extras that actually help the article. For example, FAQs are useful if you want to answer common questions at the end. Key takeaways are useful if you want readers to quickly recap the main points. And a call to action is useful if you want to send readers to another guide, a resource, or a tool you recommend. Once those choices are done, we can continue and let Writesonic generate the article. At that point, it's using everything we've selected so far: the topic, article type, references, primary keyword, secondary keywords, title, configuration settings, outline, and any enhancements to create a more complete draft. That's why this workflow takes a little longer, but the results should feel much more structured than a quick one-click article. All right, once the article finishes generating, we land on the preview screen, and this is where we can quickly review what Writesonic created before saving it. At the top, you'll see two tabs, Original and Humanized, And in this example, we're viewing the humanized version. On the right, Writesonic also shows the word count, which here is around 3,926 words. So this is a fairly full length draft. The article starts with the title: How to Use AI Blog Writing Tools to Create Better Content, a step by step guide, followed by key takeaways and the main article content. And if you selected a cover image during the enhancement step, you'll see that image included near the beginning of the article as well. On the left side, you can also see the full 10-step article process we completed, from entering the topic all the way down to generating the final article. Now, at this stage, I wouldn't try to judge the whole article sentence by sentence. I'd do a quick quality check first. Does the title match the topic? Do the key takeaways make sense? Does the intro feel readable? Does the article follow the outline we selected? And as I scroll down, does it stay useful for a beginner instead of becoming generic AI filler? You may also see a small feedback pop up asking how your article creation experience was. You can rate it or close it, but it doesn't change the actual draft. The main button we care about is save and edit in the bottom right. If the article looks usable overall, click that so we can open it inside the editor and make proper edits. And this is important. Even though Writesonic has created the full draft, I still wouldn't publish it immediately. I'd save it, review the structure, clean up anything that sounds too generic, check the facts, adjust the tone, and make sure it actually matches the content I want to publish. Think of this as a strong first draft, not the final finished article. You may see a pop up asking whether you want to keep citations in your editor. If you used web research or competitor references, I would usually keep citations because it gives you more context while editing and makes it easier to check where certain information came from. If you want a cleaner document without citation markers, you can choose not to keep them, but for a researched article, keeping them is usually the safer option. After that, Writesonic may ask you to name the file and choose a folder. I'd keep the file name close to the article title so it's easy to find later, then save it. All right, now that the article is saved, we're inside the main editor, and this is where the draft becomes much easier to work with. Instead of just looking at a preview, we now have the full article in an editing workspace with the title at the top, the document saved in the folder area, and the main writing toolbar across the top for basic formatting, links, headings, and other edits. On the right side, we have the actual article draft. And on the left side, Writesonic gives us a few different tool sections we can open while we edit. So this is not just a plain document editor. It's more like a content workspace where we can clean up the article, improve weak sections, rewrite parts, check SEO, or create supporting content from the same draft. The first thing I'd do here is not publish immediately. I'd start by reading the intro and the key takeaways because those are the parts that tell me whether the article is actually starting strong. If the intro feels too generic, I'd rewrite it. If the key takeaways feel useful, I'd keep them. And if anything sounds like basic AI filler, this is where I'd clean it up before it ever goes live. Now, if I click the right section on the left, Writesonic opens a panel with templates and content options. You can see a prompt box at the top asking what you want to create, then featured templates like blog post, content rephraser, Facebook ads, and product description, plus categories like advertising, blog, general writing, social media, emails, video, and e-commerce. So this is useful if you want to create extra content around the article, like a social post, email, ad, or product style description without starting from a blank page. The article writer section is where you can jump back into different article tools. You'll see options like Article Writer 6, Article Writer 5, Article Writer 4, Instant Article Writer, and Article Rewriter. So if this article gives you an idea for another topic, you don't have to go all the way back to the dashboard. You can start another article workflow right from this editor area. The Humanizer tool is useful when a section sounds too stiff. In the panel, Writesonic lets you paste or pull in text, choose the language, optionally enhance readability, and then click Humanize. I would use this carefully. I wouldn't just humanize the entire article and assume it's better. I'd use it on sections that feel robotic, then compare the result and keep the version that sounds clearer and more natural. The rewrite tool is for revising existing content. You can add text, add a link, or upload a file, then move through the settings. This is useful if a paragraph has the right idea, but the wording needs work. Instead of saying rewrite this and hoping for the best, I'd give it a clear instruction like make this easier for beginners, remove fluff, keep the meaning, and make it sound more conversational. That gives you a much better result than a random rewrite. Then we also have the SEO section. This gives you tools like keyword research, SEO checker, content gap analysis, topic clusters, and answer the people. This is where you can improve the article after the first draft is created. For example, if the article feels a little thin, you can use Answer the People to find common questions or use SEO Checker to see whether the topic coverage needs improvement. And you may also see prompts or pop ups for Chatsonic, which is Writesonic's chat style assistant. If that appears, you can try it now or close it and come back later. Chatsonic is useful when you want help while editing, like asking for a stronger introduction, better FAQs, a cleaner conclusion, or extra examples for a section. So the workflow here is simple. Don't treat the generated article as finished just because it looks complete. Treat it like a strong first draft. Read through it, clean up anything generic, fact check the claims, improve the examples, use rewrite when a section needs clearer wording, use humanizer when something sounds stiff, and use the SEO tools when you want to make the article more search friendly. That's really where the editor becomes useful. All right, now that the article is created and saved, let's quickly look at what happens after the draft is finished. Because this is where Writesonic starts to feel less like a generate one article and leave tool and more like a proper content workspace. Once you're done editing, look toward the top right area of the editor. You'll see the save status, the tools button, and the share button. If you click share, this is where you can actually take the article out of Writesonic and use it somewhere else. You can create a share link, make the document public if you want someone else to view it, publish through options like WordPress, WordPress.org, or Zapier, and you can also download the article as a DOC, PDF, or HTML file. So whether you're writing for your own blog, a client, or a website you manage, this is basically the handoff area. And if you ever want to come back to the article later, just go to your content in the left sidebar. This is where your saved documents live. You'll see folders, a search bar, and a recents table showing the file name, folder, owner, last edited date, and where the content originally came from, like article writer. So the article doesn't just vanish into the software universe like every random note you've ever saved and immediately forgotten about. You can reopen it, keep editing it, organize it into folders, or build a full content library over time. Now, from the main dashboard, you'll also see Optimize under existing content, and this is where things connect back to the article we just made. Think of Optimize as a shortcut for improving content that already exists. So that could be the article we just generated, or it could be a draft you already wrote somewhere else and want to polish inside Writesonic. If your article is already saved, you can always open it from your content and work on it from there. But if you're starting from the dashboard, Optimize helps you move into that improvement workflow faster. And once you're in that SEO side of the editor, you'll see tools like SEO Checker, keyword research, content gap analysis, topic clusters, and answer the people. These are the tools you'd use when the draft is already written, but you want to tighten it up before publishing. Maybe the article reads well, but you want stronger keyword direction. Maybe you want more topic coverage. Maybe you want to find questions people are asking, so you can add a better FAQ section. That's where this part comes in. The goal is not just to create content quickly. The goal is to create something useful, clear, and better positioned before you put it out there. All right, now I'm going to show you one more useful follow-up feature, and that's repurpose. This is also under existing content on the main dashboard, and it gives you two main paths: humanize AI text and paraphrase content. Again, this is not something totally disconnected from the article workflow. It's more like a shortcut that sends you to the right editing tool depending on what you want to fix. If you choose Humanize AI Text, Writesonic takes you into the humanizer inside the editor. This is useful when a section sounds a little too clean, too stiff, or too obviously AI generated. You can paste in the text, choose the language, optionally improve readability, and then click Humanize. So instead of rewriting your whole article, you can just smooth out the parts that need a more natural feel. If you choose a paraphrase content, that takes you into the rewrite tool. This is better when the meaning is already fine, but the wording needs a fresh version. Maybe a paragraph feels repetitive, maybe it sounds a bit flat, or maybe you just want to say the same thing in a cleaner way. Inside Rewrite, you can add your content, keep the current length, choose the language, add instructions, define the audience, and even include SEO keywords if you want the rewrite to stay aligned with the topic. So the easy way to remember it is this. Humanize is for making AI written text sound more natural, and paraphrase or rewrite is for rewording content while keeping the same general meaning. And if you're already inside a document, you don't always need to go back to the dashboard. You can use the humanizer or rewrite tools directly from the editor sidebar and work on the exact section you're editing. So the full workflow looks like this. Create the article, edit the draft, save it, find it later in your content, use share when you're ready to export or publish, use optimize when you want to improve the SEO side, and use repurpose, humanizer, or rewrite when you want to make the content cleaner, more natural, or easier to reuse. And that's pretty much the beginner workflow inside Writesonic. We started from the homepage, looked at the pricing and sign up process, set up the project, explored the dashboard, used Chatsonic, went through the article writer step by step, generated a full article, and then looked at how to save, export, optimize, and repurpose that content afterwards. So if you want to try Writesonic yourself, check the link in the description. Depending on the current offer, there may be a free trial, discount, or bonus available through that link. So definitely check there first before signing up normally. No pressure, but if there's a better deal available, we are not here to donate extra money to software companies for character development. And that's it for this video. If this helped you, leave a like, subscribe for more beginner-friendly tutorials like this, and drop a comment. If you want me to make a deeper video on Writesonic's SEO tools, Chatsonic, or AI search visibility. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.